Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. My family thought I was their personal ATM, and I was dumb enough to let it happen for way too long. My name's Ida Castellano, and if you think Thanksgiving drama is bad, wait until you hear about the Christmas lunch that torched my entire family to the ground. I'm talking scorched earth, baby, the kind of fallout that makes reality TV look like a church picnic. It started 3 years ago when I sold my tech startup to a Silicon Valley giant for an amount that would make your jaw hit the floor. $47 million. Yeah, you read that right. I was 28 years old, sitting in a conference room overlooking Santa Monica, signing papers that would change my life forever. The thing is, money doesn't just change your life. It changes how everyone around you sees you, especially family, especially my family. My mom, Patricia Castellano, was the kind of woman who lunched. And I mean that in every stereotypical, catty, status-obsessed way you can imagine. She belonged to 3 country clubs in the Los Angeles area, played tennis twice a week with women who measured their worth in carats and square footage, and had opinions about everything from your nail polish to your choice of Mediterranean tiles. My dad, Richard, was a retired investment banker who spent most of his time golfing and pretending he was still relevant in a world that had moved on without him. They lived in a ridiculous mansion in Pacific Palisades, 8 bedrooms, infinity pool, ocean views that cost more than most people's retirement funds. Then there was my older brother, Marcus. Golden boy Marcus with his hedge fund job that was more smoke and mirrors than actual success, his trophy wife Simone who thought Botox was a food group, and their 2 kids who were being raised by a rotating staff of nannies while their parents posted Instagram stories about blessed family moments. Marcus had this way of talking where every sentence sounded like he was doing you a favor just by speaking to you. Real piece of work, that guy. My younger sister, Jade, was the artist of the family, which meant she was 32, perpetually broke, and convinced that selling 3 paintings a year at a gallery in Silver Lake made her the next Basquiat. She lived in a loft downtown that I paid for, drove a Mercedes I bought her, and had the audacity to call herself independent. When the money hit my account, I made the classic mistake. I wanted to be generous. I wanted to be the good daughter, the good sister. I wanted to prove that success hadn't changed me, that I was still down-to-earth Ida who remembered where she came from. What a joke that turned out to be. First, it was small stuff. Mom needed help with some renovations. Could I chip in? Sure, I wrote a check for 80 grand to redo her already perfect kitchen. Dad's country club dues went up. Would I mind covering them this year? No problem. Another 25,000 gone. Marcus's fund hit a rough patch. Just a loan, sis. I'll pay you back. 50,000 that I knew I'd never see again. But hey, family, right? Jade needed new studio space because the light in her current place was killing her creativity. Another 3,000 a month, no big deal. It snowballed. Before I knew it, I was financing everyone's lifestyle. Mom's personal trainer, her weekly spa appointments, her shopping trips to Rodeo Drive, Dad's new Tesla, his golf trips to Scotland, his wine collection that cost more than most people's cars. Marcus's kids' private school tuition at some elite academy where they taught 5-year-olds Mandarin and coding, Jade's art supplies, her gallery fees, her designer wardrobe that she claimed was necessary for networking events. I bought them all new cars for Christmas 2 years ago, wrapped them with giant bows in the driveway like some ridiculous commercial. Mom cried, but I noticed her tears dried up pretty quick when she started calculating the insurance costs, which, naturally, I would also be covering. The thank yous felt hollow even then, but I ignored that little voice in my head that said I was being used. Here's the thing about being the cash cow. Nobody actually sees you anymore. They see dollar signs. Every conversation becomes a transaction. Every holiday becomes an opportunity to mention how expensive things are, how tough the economy is, how lucky I am to have such a close family to share my success with. Lucky. That's the word they always used. Like I won the lottery instead of building something from nothing, working 20-hour days for 6 years, sacrificing relationships and sleep in my entire 20s to create something valuable. I started my company, Core Thread Solutions, right out of UCLA. While my classmates were getting drunk at frat parties and figuring out their majors, I was coding in my dorm room, surviving on Red Bull and determination. I saw a gap in the market for AI-driven customer service platforms before it became the buzzword it is today. I maxed out credit cards, ate ramen for 2 years straight, slept on friends' couches when I couldn't make rent. My family? They thought it was cute. A little hobby, something I'd grow out of once I got a real job. When Core Threads started taking off, suddenly everyone was interested. Dad wanted to know about my business model, even though he'd ignored every email I'd sent him about it for 3 years. Mom started introducing me as her daughter, the CEO, at her country club events, showing me off like a prize poodle. Marcus acted like we'd been close all along, like he hadn't spent our entire childhood calling me a nerd and shoving my face in the dirt during family gatherings. The sale of the company should have been my moment, my victory lap. Instead, it became the starting gun for the biggest grift I've ever experienced. And I'd gone to UCLA. I knew what grifts looked like. But this was family, so I made excuses. I told myself they were just going through hard times, that sharing wealth was the right thing to do, that blood was thicker than water, and all those other lies we tell ourselves to justify being doormats. By the time this Christmas rolled around, I'd funneled over $3 million to my family. $3 million. And not once, not one single time, did anyone say thank you without following it up with another request. Not once did anyone ask how I was doing, what my plans were, if I was happy. It was always about what I could do for them next. I'd bought Mom's new Porsche Cayenne in October. Jade's loft renovation wrapped up in November, another $150,000. Marcus needed help with a down payment on a beach house in Malibu because apparently his $1 million salary wasn't cutting it. I was hemorrhaging money, but worse than that, I was hemorrhaging self-respect. The breaking point came 2 weeks before Christmas. I was dating someone, Tyler Chen, a documentary filmmaker who actually gave a damn about things that mattered. He was smart, funny, grounded, and completely unimpressed with wealth, which was probably why I fell for him. We'd been together for 8 months, and I was thinking long-term. Marriage, maybe. Kids someday. The whole deal. I made the mistake of bringing him to a family dinner at my parents' place. Big, stupid mistake. Mom took one look at him, Asian, artsy, driving a 10-year-old Prius, and I could see the calculations happening behind her eyes. Not good enough, not wealthy enough, not connected enough. Dad spent the entire dinner asking him invasive questions about his earnings, his family background, his prospects. Marcus made passive-aggressive comments about how documentary filmmaking was a nice hobby, but when was he going to get a real career? Jade was the only one who was decent to him, but that's because she was too self-absorbed to care one way or another. Tyler was a saint about it. He laughed it off, squeezed my hand under the table, and told me on the drive home that every family had their quirks. But I saw something shift in his eyes, a wariness, a question about what kind of person I really was if I came from people like that. 3 days later, Mom called me, not to apologize, not to ask how I was feeling about the dinner. She called to tell me that she'd done some research, yes, research on Tyler, and discovered his parents ran a small grocery store in Monterey Park. And did I really think he was appropriate for someone of my status? She actually used the word appropriate, like we were living in a Jane Austen novel and I was some debutante who needed to marry for connections. I lost it. For the first time in 3 years, I actually told her what I thought. I said she was a snob, that Tyler was worth 10 of anyone in our family, that I was sick of being treated like a bank instead of a daughter. You know what she said? She said I was being ungrateful, that everything they'd done for me growing up, the private schools, the nice house, the opportunities, that was all their investment in me, and now it was paying off for everyone. Their investment, like I was a stock portfolio. I hung up on her. Tyler and I lasted another week before he ended it. He said he cared about me, but he couldn't watch me let my family drain me dry, and he couldn't be with someone who didn't stand up for themselves or for him. I cried for 3 days straight. Then I got angry, really, really angry. But I didn't do anything about it. I told myself I'd set boundaries after the holidays, I'd have a serious conversation with everyone, I'd make them understand that things needed to change. I was still making excuses, still hoping that somehow these people would wake up and see what they were doing to me. Christmas lunch was supposed to be at Mom and Dad's place, like always. Catered affair, probably 30 grand worth of food and decorations, all on my dime, though nobody would acknowledge that. I showed up with expensive gifts for everyone. Cartier watch for Dad, Hermes bag for Mom, designer clothes for everyone else. I was still playing the game, still trying to buy love, still convinced that maybe this year would be different. The house looked like a magazine spread. White and gold everything, a tree that probably cost 5 grand, champagne flowing like water. Everyone was there. Marcus and Simone with their kids, Jade with her latest boyfriend who looked like he'd wandered off a yoga retreat, Mom's sister Aunt Priyanne, who was basically Mom 2.0, a few family friends who were really just there to witness the wealth. Lunch started fine. Fake fine. The kind of fine where everyone's smiling, but you can feel the tension underneath, like a riptide waiting to pull you under. Mom was holding court, telling some story about her tennis tournament, wearing the diamonds I'd bought her last year. Dad was pouring drinks, playing the magnanimous host, in the house I'd helped renovate. Marcus was on his phone, probably checking crypto prices or whatever the hell hedge fund bros do. Jade was actually painting at the dinner table, because apparently social norms didn't apply to artists. Then Mom opened her gifts. She oohed and awed over the Hermes bag, showed it off to Aunt Diane, took photos for Instagram. Dad loved his watch, immediately put it on, made some comment about how I really knew quality. Everyone was happy with their stuff. Nobody said thank you. Not really. They said thanks like you'd thank someone for passing the salt. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was watching them all enjoy the spoils of my work without a shred of genuine gratitude. Maybe it was thinking about Tyler, about how I'd lost something real because I was too weak to stand up to these parasites. I put down my fork and I said it, just blurted it out. This is the last Christmas I'm funding. The table went silent, like horror movie silent. Someone's fork clinked against a plate. The pianist Mom had hired for ambience kept playing in the corner, oblivious. "What do you mean, honey?" Mom's smile was frozen, plastic. "I mean exactly what I said. I'm done. No more cars, no more houses, no more country club dues, no more art studios, no more anything. You're all on your own." Marcus laughed. Actual laughter, like I'd told a joke. "Come on, sis, it's Christmas. Don't be dramatic." "I'm not being dramatic. I'm being serious. I've given you all millions over the past 3 years, and I'm done. I'm cutting everyone off." Dad set down his wine glass. His face was doing that thing where he was trying to look disappointed, but really he just looked pissed. "Ada, we're family. Family takes care of each other." "Right. Family. When's the last time any of you took care of me? When's the last time anyone asked how I was doing? When's the last time anyone gave a damn about my life beyond how much money you could squeeze out of me?" Jay had stopped painting. "That's not fair. We care about you." "Bull. You care about my bank account. There's a difference." Mom's eyes were getting that dangerous glint, the one that meant she was about to go nuclear. "After everything we've done for you." "What? What have you done for me? Raised me? That's called being a parent. That's the bare minimum. You didn't do me some special favor by feeding and housing me as a child. That was your job." Simone whispered something to Marcus, and Diane looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. The family friends were suddenly very interested in their plates. This was better than whatever Real Housewives episode they'd been watching. "You're being ungrateful," Mom said, her voice ice cold. "Selfish. We raised you better than this." "No, you raised me to be a doormat, to say yes to everything, to put everyone else's needs before my own. Well, I'm done being that person." Marcus stood up. "You know what? Nobody's making you help us. If you want to be a selfish bitch about it, fine. But don't act like you're some martyr. You offered. We didn't put a gun to your head." "You're right. I offered. And you took and took and took until there was nothing left. You couldn't even be decent to Tyler. You couldn't even pretend to respect someone I cared about because he wasn't rich enough for your standards. That loser," Simone actually spoke, which was rare, Please, he was using you for your money just like everyone else. I threw my napkin on the table. Tyler didn't know about my money for the first 3 months we dated. He thought I was a freelance consultant. When he found out, he was uncomfortable with it. He wanted me to spend less on you people, not more. He was the only person in my life who saw me as a human being instead of a piggy bank. Mom stood up now, too, her chair scraping against the floor. If you're going to disrespect us in our own home, your home that I helped pay for, then maybe you should leave. The words hung in the air. Everyone stared at her. Even Dad looked surprised. Patricia, Dad started, but Mom held up her hand. No, I'm serious. If Ada thinks so little of us, if she thinks we're such terrible people, then maybe she should leave and stop relying on this family for everything. I laughed. Couldn't help it. It was so absurd, so completely backwards that I actually laughed. Relying on the family? Are you kidding me? I'm the one everyone relies on. You rely on us for emotional support, for guidance, for family. If you don't want to be part of this family anymore, there's the door, she pointed. Actually pointed at the front door, like I was some house guest who'd overstayed my welcome. Something broke inside me then. Not in a sad way, in a clarifying way. Like when you're looking at one of those optical illusions and suddenly you see both images at once and you can't unsee the truth. These people didn't love me. Maybe they never had. I was a resource to them, a utility, and the moment I tried to establish a boundary, I was being thrown out. Fine, I said. My voice was calm, scary calm. I'll leave. I walked out of that dining room, grabbed my coat and purse from the foyer, and headed for the door. Behind me, I could hear confused murmuring, Jade calling my name, Dad saying something about everyone calming down, but Mom's voice cut through it all. Ida, if you walk out that door, don't expect us to welcome you back with open arms. We won't tolerate this kind of disrespect. I turned around. Everyone had filed into the foyer now, watching this like it was theater. Mom stood at the front, arms crossed, chin high. Dad looked uncomfortable but wasn't contradicting her. Marcus had his phone out. Was he filming this? Jade looked worried, but not worried enough to actually defend me. The others just watched, hungry for drama. Let me make something very clear to all of you, I said. Since you've decided I'm out, let me tell you what you're losing. Mom, Dad, I've been paying your property taxes for 2 years. That's $48,000 a year. I paid for the kitchen renovation, the pool resurfacing, the new landscaping, and I cover your country club memberships at all 3 clubs. That's another $60,000 a year. Your car insurance, your health insurance premium since Dad retired, your household staff. I've been covering all of it. That's roughly $300,000 a year total. Consider it done. Mom's face went blank, just completely blank. The color drained out like someone pulled a plug. Marcus, I've given you over $400,000 in the past 3 years, none of which you've paid back. I pay your kids' tuition, that's $75,000 a year. I covered the down payment on your beach house, which I'm guessing you've conveniently forgotten was a loan, not a gift. I hope you can make those mortgage payments on your own because I'm done. Marcus's face went red, then white. Simone grabbed his arm. Jade, your loft, your car, your health insurance, your studio, your art supplies, your gallery fees. I've been funding your entire life to the tune of about $80,000 a year. That stops today. Jade's boyfriend looked at her. She looked at the floor. The credit cards I gave all of you with my name on them? Canceled as of right now. I pulled out my phone and started typing. The various streaming services, the family cell phone plan, the car services, the meal delivery subscriptions, all of it gone. The trust fund I set up for the kids' college? I'm the trustee. I'll make sure the kids get it when they're 18, but nobody else touches it. I looked up from my phone. I calculate that I've been subsidizing this family's lifestyle to the tune of roughly $600,000 a year. That ends right now, today, this second. Enjoy figuring out how to live within your actual means. The silence was deafening. Someone's phone buzzed, probably the credit card company sending cancellation notifications. Mom swayed a little like she might faint. Dad caught her elbow. Marcus was doing math in his head. You could see it, the panic starting to set in. Jade had tears running down her face, but I was done caring. "Merry Christmas," I said. "Enjoy your lunch. I'm out." I walked out that door and I didn't look back. Got in my Tesla, drove away from that house, and felt lighter than I had in 3 years. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts, calls, voicemails. I ignored all of it. I drove to my condo in Beverly Hills, the one place I'd kept fully mine, and I sat in my living room and I breathed. For the first time in forever, I breathed without the weight of everyone else's expectations crushing my chest. The calls kept coming. Mom, Dad, Marcus, Jade, even Aunt Diane. I didn't answer any of them. I ordered Chinese food, opened a bottle of wine, and spent Christmas evening watching trashy TV and planning my next move. Because here's the thing. I wasn't just walking away. I was going to make sure they understood exactly what they'd lost. The next morning, I met with my lawyer, drew up all the paperwork to officially retract every form of financial support, canceled the credit cards, removed my name from their insurance policies, sent formal letters demanding repayment of all loans. I was doing this by the book, clean and legal. They wanted to treat me like a bank? Fine. Banks get their money back. I also made some calls. See, over the years, I'd learned things. Family dinners are great for loose lips, especially when people are drinking. Marcus's hedge fund wasn't just struggling, it was borderline fraudulent. Some shady offshore stuff that would make the SEC very interested. Dad's retirement wasn't as comfortable as he pretended. He'd made some catastrophically bad investments he'd been hiding from Mom. Mom's country club friends? Turned out a few of them had been getting suspicious about how the Castellanos maintained such an expensive lifestyle when Richard had been retired for 5 years. Jade's Gart wasn't selling at all. The gallery owner was a friend of mine, actually, and he'd been buying her paintings himself out of pity, at my request, with money I'd been funneling to him. I had receipts, I had records, I had proof of every dollar I'd given them, every lie they'd told, every corner they'd cut. And I was ready to use it if they pushed me. They pushed me. On New Year's Eve, Marcus showed up at my building. The doorman called up, and I debated not letting him in, but curiosity won. I wanted to see what excuse he'd come up with. He looked rough, like he hadn't slept in days. His suit was wrinkled, and for Marcus, that was basically a cry for help. "We need to talk," he said as soon as I opened the door. "No, we don't." "Ida, come on. You're really going to destroy the family over one argument?" "I'm not destroying anything. You all did that yourselves. I'm just removing myself from the equation." He pushed past me into the condo. Real classy, my brother. "You don't understand the position you're putting us in. Mom and Dad can't afford that house without your help. The property taxes alone, then they should sell it and downsize, like normal people do when they can't afford their lifestyle. They're in their 60s. They shouldn't have to downsize. Why not? Because they're special? Because they're entitled to luxury just by existing?" Marcus ran his hands through his hair. "The kids' school. We can't pull them out mid-year. It'll traumatize them." "You make over $1 million a year, Marcus. You can afford your own kids' tuition. Not with the beach house mortgage and the beach house you shouldn't have bought. The beach house you bought because you wanted to keep up with your friend who made partner at his firm. The beach house that's ego, not necessity." He stared at me. "You've really changed. Money changed you." I laughed. "Money didn't change me. You did. All of you. You showed me exactly how much I meant to you when I stopped being useful. And you know what? I'm grateful. Better to learn now than waste another decade being your ATM. Mom's having panic attacks. Dad's talking to bankruptcy lawyers. Jade might lose her loft. And whose fault is that? Mine for finally saying no, or yours for building lives you couldn't sustain without my money?" Marcus's face hardened. "You're going to regret this." Is that a threat? It's a fact. Family is everything. You walk away from us, you'll end up alone and miserable. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who see me as a bank account. Now get out. Ida, get out, Marcus, and tell everyone else that showing up here won't change anything. I'm done. Completely done. The only communication I'll accept from any of you is through my lawyer regarding loan repayment. He left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frames on my walls. I poured myself a drink and watched the sunset over Los Angeles, all that golden light spilling across the city, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. But if I'm being honest, I also felt something else, a little flutter of anxiety in my chest, because I knew my family, and I knew they wouldn't let this go quietly. When the Castellanos felt cornered, they came out swinging, and I'd just backed them into the tightest corner of their lives. I had no idea how right I was, or how ugly things were about to get, because my family didn't just want my money back, they wanted revenge, and they were willing to burn everything down to get it, even if it meant destroying me in the process. What I didn't know then, sitting in my condo with my drink and my newfound freedom, was that I'd just started a war. And in war, someone always gets hurt. I just didn't realize yet that the casualties would include everything I thought I knew about the people I'd spent my whole life trying to please. Part 2. The war started with whispers. I should have expected it. The Castellanos didn't do direct confrontation when they could do character assassination instead. Within a week of New Year's, I started hearing things. Friends calling to ask if I was okay, their voices careful, like they were talking to someone who might shatter. My business contacts suddenly going cold, emails getting shorter, lunch invitations mysteriously drying up. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. Then I ran into Sophie Martinez at a coffee shop in West Hollywood. Sophie and I went way back. UCLA roommates, survived organic chemistry together, been through breakups and career changes and everything in between. She was one of the few people in my life who knew me before the money, who actually gave a damn about who I was as a person. When I saw her, I waved. She looked at me like I'd kicked her dog. "Sophie, hey," I started, but she cut me off. "Are you serious right now?" Her voice was low, angry. "You have the audacity to act normal?" I blinked. "What are you talking about?" "Your family, Etta. Your parents. Do you have any idea what you've done to them?" My stomach dropped. "What did they tell you?" "Your mom called me crying. Crying! She told me how you cut them off without warning, how you've been holding your money over their heads for years, threatening them, how you demanded they pay back gifts. Gifts, Etta, that you gave them freely. How you're trying to destroy them financially because they wouldn't let you control their lives anymore." My face got hot. "That's not what happened. She said you even threatened your own nieces and nephews, that you're taking away their college fund because Marcus wouldn't let you run his life." "That's a complete lie. I'm the trustee of that fund. I set it up. I'm making sure the kids get it when they turn 18 so their parents can't blow it on stupid real estate investments." Sophie shook her head. "She said she'd say something like that. She said you've changed, that the money made you cruel and paranoid. She's devastated, Etta. She said she doesn't even recognize you anymore." "Did she mention that she told me to leave? That she literally kicked me out of Christmas dinner because I said I wasn't going to fund their lifestyle anymore?" "She said you had a tantrum because they wouldn't praise you enough for your gifts, that you expected them to worship you for your money." I laughed, but it came out bitter. "And you believe her?" Sophie's face softened a little, but not much. "I've known Patricia for 10 years. She's always been nothing but kind to me. And honestly, you have been different since you got rich. More distant, more judgmental. Maybe she's right. Maybe the money did change you." I stared at my former best friend and realized I'd already lost this battle. Mom had gotten to her first, spun the story her way, painted herself as the victim and me as the villain. And Sophie believed it. Why wouldn't she? Patricia Castellano was charming, gracious, the perfect picture of a wounded mother. I was the ungrateful daughter who'd abandoned her family.
You know what, Sophie? Believe whatever you want. I'm done defending myself to people who've already made up their minds. I walked past her, my coffee forgotten, and I could feel her watching me leave, probably thinking I'd just proved Mama right. Probably already texting other friends to warn them about me. That was just the beginning. By the end of January, I'd lost 3 close friends to my mother's smear campaign. My yoga instructor, who I'd been going to for 2 years, suddenly couldn't fit me into her schedule anymore. My hairdresser, who I'd tipped generously and referred a dozen clients to, started acting weird and distant. The fundraising committee I sat on for a children's literacy nonprofit asked me to step down, very politely, with some excuse about restructuring that fooled exactly nobody. Mom was thorough. I'll give her that. She'd spent years building relationships in the LA social scene, collecting allies like Pokemon cards. And now she was cashing in every chip, telling anyone who'd listen about her cruel, heartless daughter who'd turned her back on family. The worst part? People believed her because she looked the part. Elegant, gracious, wounded but brave. I looked like exactly what she said I was, a rich tech brat having a tantrum. Marcus was working a different angle. He started posting on social media, carefully curated posts about family values, about how success means nothing without the people who raised you, about forgiveness and gratitude. He never mentioned me by name, but everyone knew. His comments filled up with people praising him for his grace, for his loyalty, for being such a good son. Some of them took subtle shots at me. Unlike some people, you understand what family means. Your parents raised you right. Not everyone forgets where they came from. I wanted to respond. God, I wanted to respond. I wanted to screenshot every bank transfer, every canceled check, every text message where they'd begged for money and promised to pay me back. I wanted to expose every lie, every manipulation, every parasitic thing they'd done. But my lawyer, Christine Park, told me to hold off. You go public with this, you look petty, she said over lunch at Republique. Christine was sharp as hell. 50s, built her practice from nothing, and didn't take crap from anyone. Right now, you're holding all the cards. You've got documentation, proof, legal standing. The minute you get into a public mudslinging match, you lose that advantage. You look like a rich person punching down at your struggling family. But they're lying about me. They're destroying my reputation. Your reputation among people who believe gossip over facts, who take your mother's word without asking for your side? Are those really people you want in your life? She had a point, but it still hurt. It hurt watching my social circle shrink, watching people I'd considered friends turn their backs based on lies. It hurt seeing Marcus's Instagram likes climb while mine disappeared. It hurt knowing that in the court of public opinion, I'd already been tried and convicted. Then Jade showed up. 2 weeks into February, she buzzed my building at 9 p.m. I almost didn't let her up. Fool me once with Marcus, right? But something in her voice over the intercom sounded different. Desperate, maybe. Or genuine. Hard to tell with Jade. She looked terrible. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie I'd bought her 2 Christmases ago. Her eyes were red, and she was shaking a little. "Before you slam the door, please just listen," she said as soon as I opened it. I crossed my arms. "You've got 5 minutes." "I'm sorry." The words came out in a rush. "I'm so sorry, Ida, for everything. For not standing up for you at Christmas, for letting them trash you, for taking your money all these years without ever really thanking you or asking if you were okay. I'm sorry." I wasn't expecting that. I'd been braced for manipulation, for guilt trips, for more demands. Not an apology. Not from Jade. "Mom said you wouldn't apologize," I said carefully. "She said you'd come here trying to get back on my good side so the money would start flowing again." Jade laughed, but it was hollow. Yeah, she probably did. That's what she'd do. But I'm not here for money, Ada. I'm here because I finally pulled my head out of my ass and realized what we did to you. What I did to you. What changed? She came in without asking, collapsed on my couch like her strings had been cut. I lost the loft, couldn't make rent without your help, had to move back in with Mom and Dad. And you know what? Living with them for 2 weeks has been more educational than 4 years of art school. How so? I see it now, the way they operate. Mom's been calling everyone we know, spinning this whole story about how you're mentally unstable, how the money corrupted you, how she's worried you might hurt yourself. Dad backs her up on everything, adds little details to make it sound more credible. They've got this whole performance down, and they made me part of it. What do you mean? Mom told me what to say if anyone asked about you, gave me talking points like I was some political campaign surrogate. Ada's going through something. We're worried about her. We're trying to get her help, but she's pushing everyone away. She wanted me to post on Instagram about how much I miss my sister, how family is forever, all this performative bullshit designed to make you look worse. Are you going to do it? Hell no. That's why I'm here. I told her I wasn't playing her games anymore, and she lost it. Full nuclear meltdown. Told me I was ungrateful, just like you, that if I didn't support the family, I'd end up alone and miserable. And you know what I realized? She doesn't actually care about family. She cares about control. She cares about maintaining her lifestyle and her image. We're just props in the Patricia Castellano show. I sat down across from her. So what do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know that at least one person in this family knows the truth. And I wanted to warn you. Warn me about what? Jade's face went serious. Marcus is planning something. I don't know exactly what, but I heard him on the phone with some lawyer. They were talking about challenging something in court, about proving you're mentally incompetent, about getting control of your assets for your own protection. My blood went cold. He's trying to get me declared mentally unfit? I think so, or something like it. He was talking about gathering evidence, about documenting erratic behavior, about medical experts who could testify. Ada, they're building a case against you. I grabbed my phone and texted Christine. Emergency. Need to talk ASAP. She responded in 30 seconds. My office, 1 hour. Jade watched me. There's more. Dad's in financial trouble, like serious trouble, worse than anyone knows. He didn't just make bad investments, he borrowed against those investments, and now the margins are being called. He owes money to some very nasty people, the kind who don't take "I'll pay you back later" as an answer. How much? He heard tell Mom it was $2.3 million. I whistled. Jesus.
Yeah, and Mom's freaking out because if this gets out, it destroys her whole image. Can't be the queen of Pacific Palisades if everyone knows your husband's basically broke and in debt to loan sharks. So they need money, fast. And their easiest target is you. I'm not giving them another cent. I know, that's why they're getting desperate. Desperate people do crazy things, Ida. I'm scared of what they might do. She left after that, giving me an awkward hug at the door. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to think Jade had genuinely woken up, that she was on my side now. But I'd been burned too many times. Trust wasn't coming easy anymore. Christine confirmed my worst fears. A conservatorship case. That's what they're going for. It's rare for someone your age without obvious mental health issues, but it's not impossible. If they can paint a picture of erratic behavior, financial recklessness, emotional instability, they might be able to convince a judge you need oversight. But I'm not any of those things. Doesn't matter. It's about perception. They'll find doctors who'll say you're showing signs of manic behavior or depression. They'll point to your sudden cutting off of family as evidence of paranoia or personality changes. They'll say the money has made you unstable. And if they win, they get control of your finances for your own good. That's insane. It's strategy, and it's effective if done right. Britney Spears was under conservatorship for 13 years.
Amanda Bynes. It happens more than you'd think, especially to wealthy young women. So what do I do? Christine leaned back in her chair. We fight fire with fire. We document everything, every interaction with them, every text, every call. We get ahead of this. I'm going to file a restraining order against Marcus and your parents, citing harassment and financial exploitation. We're going to make it very clear that you're of sound mind and that any attempt to challenge that will be met with a very public, very ugly legal battle where all their dirty laundry gets aired. Will that work? It'll make them think twice. Nobody wants a public court case where their financial crimes and parasitic behavior get exposed. Marcus's hedge fund stuff, that alone could land him in federal prison if the SEC decides to investigate. Your dad's debts and shady loans, that's ammunition. Your mom's fraud, because yes, claiming you're mentally unstable when you're not is fraud, that's more ammunition. We make it clear that coming after you means mutually assured destruction. I don't want to destroy them, I just want them to leave me alone. Sometimes those are the same thing. The restraining order got filed the next day. My family's lawyer, some slick Beverly Hills type named Graham Westwood, called Christine. She had a conversation I wasn't privy to, but Christine came out of it satisfied. They're backing off the conservatorship play, for now, but Westwood made it clear they're not done. He said, and I quote, "My clients are prepared to pursue all legal avenues to protect their family and their reputation." What does that mean? It means they're going to sue you for something, probably emotional distress or defamation or some other BS. It's a pressure tactic. They're hoping you'll settle, give them money to make them go away. I'm not giving them a dime. Good, because that's exactly what I told Westwood. I also told him we have documentation of over $3 million in transfers from you to various family members, most of which were clearly designated as loans, not gifts. I told him we're prepared to file our own suit for repayment with interest. That shut him up real quick. But the legal maneuvering was just one front in this war. The social warfare continued. Mom ramped up her campaign, adding new details to her story. Now I wasn't just ungrateful, I was allegedly struggling with substance abuse. She told people she'd found pills in my bathroom at Christmas, that she was worried I was spiraling, that my cutting off the family was a cry for help that they couldn't answer because I'd pushed them away. It was brilliant, really. Evil, but brilliant. Because now anyone who might have questioned her story felt guilty for not reaching out to help poor, troubled Ada. And anyone I tried to defend myself to would think I was in denial about my problems. Classic manipulation. I fought back the only way I could, by living well. I threw myself into work, started angel investing in other women-led startups, joined boards for organizations that actually mattered. I traveled, spent a week in Tokyo, 2 weeks in Barcelona, a long weekend in New York. I posted photos on Instagram, not to show off, but to show that I was thriving, that I was happy, that cutting off toxic people had been the best decision of my life. Some people saw through the family's BS. Tyler reached out in March, sent me a text that said, "Heard some crazy stories about you. Figured I should ask you directly if you're okay." We met for coffee, and I told him everything. He listened, really listened, and when I finished, he said, "I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to stay. I should have helped you stand up to them instead of walking away." It's not your fault. They're professionals at this. Still, for what it's worth, I think you're the bravest person I know, and I think you're going to come out of this stronger than ever. We didn't get back together, too much water under that bridge, but we became friends again. Real friends, the kind who show up when things get hard. It was something. My former business partner, Derek Liu, also reached out. He'd sold his stake in Core Thread the same time I did, made his own fortune. We'd stayed in loose touch, but now he called with a proposition. I'm starting a new venture. AI ethics, making sure this technology doesn't get weaponized or abused. I want you in on the ground floor, not for your money, for your brain and your experience. Interested? I was. God, I was. It felt good to be wanted for what I could contribute, not what I could provide. We started meeting twice a week, sketching out business plans, talking about mission statements and values. It gave me purpose beyond just surviving my family's attacks. But the attacks kept coming. In April, someone leaked to a tech blog that I was being sued by my family for financial elder abuse. It wasn't true. No such suit had been filed, but the blog ran with it anyway.
Tech heiress accused of exploiting elderly parents, read the headline. My lawyer fired off a cease and desist, threatened a defamation suit, and the blog retracted the story. But the damage was done. Other outlets had picked it up, added their own spin. By the time the retractions went out, nobody cared. The false story lived forever on the internet. I found out later it was Marcus who'd planted the story. He'd called the blog's editor, spun some tale about being a concerned brother trying to protect his parents from a predatory daughter. The editor ran it without fact-checking because it was salacious, and clicks matter more than truth. Christine wanted to sue Marcus personally. We can prove he lied to that reporter. We can prove actual malice. We can take him for everything he's got. Do it, I said. I was done playing defense. The lawsuit hit Marcus like a freight train. We weren't asking for a little money. We were asking for $5 million in damages, plus all the money he owed me, plus legal fees. The filing laid out everything: his fraudulent hedge fund activities, his debts, his lies to the press, his coordinated campaign with our mother to destroy my reputation. It was brutal and public and exactly what he deserved. Marcus tried to spin it, posted on Instagram about how I was using my wealth to bully my family, how David was standing up to Goliath, how he wouldn't be intimidated. But his followers were supportive this time. People started asking questions. Why does she say you owe her $400K? Is it true about the offshore accounts? Dude, this sounds sketchy. His wife, Simone, filed for separation 2 weeks later. Took the kids and moved in with her parents in Santa Barbara. Marcus's carefully constructed image was crumbling, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel some satisfaction watching it happen. Mom tried a different tactic. She wrote me a letter, an actual handwritten letter on her fancy stationery, delivered to my building by messenger. It was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive manipulation. My dearest Ida, it started. I don't know where we went wrong, but I pray every day that you'll find it in your heart to forgive us for whatever we did to hurt you so deeply. A mother's love is unconditional, and mine remains so, even as you tear our family apart. I want you to know that no matter how much you hurt us, we will always love you. We're here when you're ready to come home. I read it 3 times, looking for any shred of genuine remorse or accountability. Found none. It was all about her pain, her love, her forgiveness. No acknowledgement of what they'd done to me. No apology for the lies or the manipulation or the financial exploitation. Just more positioning herself as the victim and me as the villain. I didn't respond. What was the point? She didn't want a conversation. She wanted surrender. Dad sent his own message, through his lawyer, a settlement offer. He'd drop all hostilities, stop Mom's smear campaign, publicly support me if I just give them $1 million to help the family get back on their feet. $1 million. Like that was nothing. Like I should be grateful for the opportunity to bail them out one more time. Absolutely not, I told Christine. Good, because that offer is basically an admission of guilt. They're acknowledging that they need your money, that they've been lying, that they're willing to stop the campaign if paid. That's extortion. Can we use it? Oh, honey, we absolutely can use it. By June, the war had reached a stalemate. My family couldn't touch me legally, we'd blocked every avenue they tried, but they'd done real damage to my social life and reputation. I'd lost friends, connections, opportunities. Some days I wondered if it was worth it, if maybe I should have just kept playing the game, kept funding their lifestyle, kept being the cash cow. At least then I'd have had peace.
But then I'd remember Christmas. I'd remember Mom pointing at the door. I'd remember Tyler walking away because I couldn't stand up for myself. I'd remember every fake smile, every hollow thank you, every conversation that was really just a transaction, and I'd know I'd made the right choice. Better to be alone and free than surrounded and trapped. What I didn't know was that the real bomb was about to drop. The secret that would change everything, that would make all the lies and manipulation and legal warfare look like a warm-up act. The secret that either destroy me or set me free. And I was about to discover it in the worst possible way, from the last person I ever expected. The call came from a number I didn't recognize. July 15th, 3 in the afternoon, I was in Derek's office going over pitch decks for our new AI ethics venture. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Ida Castellano? The voice was male, older, unfamiliar. Who's asking? My name is Robert Chen. I am Tyler's father. We need to talk, in person, today, if possible. My heart did a weird skip. Tyler's dad? We'd never met. Tyler and I had broken up before that could happen. About what? About your family. About things you need to know. Things Tyler told me not to tell you, but I can't keep quiet anymore. Not after what I've been watching happen to you. An hour later, I was sitting in a small dim sum restaurant in Monterey Park, across from a man who looked like an older version of Tyler. Same kind eyes, same careful way of speaking. He ordered tea, waited until the server left, then pulled out a manila folder. Tyler's going to be pissed at me for this, he said. But someone needs to tell you the truth, and your own family sure as hell won't. What truth? He slid a document across the table. Birth certificate. My birth certificate. Except it wasn't quite right. The parents listed were Patricia and Richard Castellano, but there was a notation I'd never seen before. Adoption finalized. I stared at it. I don't understand. You're adopted, Ida. Patricia and Richard aren't your biological parents. The restaurant noise faded to white static. That's impossible. I look like my mom. Everyone says so. You look like your biological mother, who happened to be Patricia's younger sister, Elena. Elena. Aunt Elena. Mom's sister who died when I was 4. I had vague memories of her. Pretty, laughing, always bringing me little gifts. Then she was gone. Car accident, they'd said. I barely remembered the funeral. Elena was my sister, Robert continued. She was married to my younger brother, David. They had you when Elena was 22. Young, broke, but so happy. They were trying to make it work. What happened? Your father, David, died. Construction accident when you were 18 months old. Elena was devastated, struggling. Patricia swooped in, convinced her that she couldn't raise you alone, that you deserved a better life. She and Richard had money, connections, stability. They'd adopt you, raise you as their own. Elena could still see you, be in your life as your aunt. It seemed like the right thing. But why wouldn't they tell me? Robert's face hardened. Because Patricia made Elena sign papers, waived all parental rights, made her promise to never tell you the truth. Patricia wanted everyone to believe you were hers biologically. It fit her image better, the successful power couple with their 3 perfect children. An adopted daughter? That was messy. That was complicated. That made people ask questions. I felt sick. Elena agreed to that? She was 23, broke, grieving, and being pressured by her older sister, who had always been the golden child, the one who did everything right. Patricia convinced her it was for your own good, that knowing the truth would confuse you, damage you, that the kindest thing was to let you believe you were a Castellano by blood. How do you know all this? because Elena told my wife, your Aunt Linda. They were close. Elena regretted the decision almost immediately, but by then the papers were signed. Patricia made it clear, if Elena ever told you the truth, she'd lose access to you completely. Patricia had the money, the lawyers, the power. Elena had nothing, so she stayed quiet and played the role of aunt when really she was your mother. The tea in front of me had gone cold. Why are you telling me this now? Because Elena's dying. Pancreatic cancer. She's been in hospice for 3 weeks. She's been asking for you, but Patricia won't let her see you. Says Elena's too sick, that it would upset you, that there's no point. But what she really means is she doesn't want Elena telling you the truth before she dies. Elena's alive? My voice cracked. Where? Cedars-Sinai, room 4012, but you need to hurry. The doctors say she has days, maybe a week at most. I was already standing, grabbing my purse. Why didn't Tyler tell me this? Because Elena made him promise not to. When you two were dating, she met you once, remember, at that art gallery opening? I do remember. A woman, late 40s, kind face. She'd complimented my dress, asked me questions about my work. We'd talked for 20 minutes. I'd liked her immediately. That was Elena? She wanted to see you, talk to you, even if she couldn't tell you who she really was. When you and Tyler broke up, she made him swear to leave it alone. She didn't want to complicate your life more than it already was. But I can't watch you go through this war with Patricia without knowing the truth. You deserve to know who you really are. I drove to Cedars-Sinai in a daze. None of it felt real. Patricia wasn't my mother. Elena, sweet, soft-spoken Aunt Elena, who I barely remembered, was my biological mom. Marcus and Jade weren't my full siblings. Everything I'd believed about my identity was a lie. The hospice floor was quiet. Room 4012 was at the end of the hall. I knocked softly, pushed the door open. Elena looked tiny in the hospital bed, hooked up to machines, her skin gray and thin like paper, but her eyes were sharp, and when she saw me, they filled with tears. "Etta," she whispered, "Robert told you." I sat in the chair next to her bed. "Why didn't you tell me yourself?"
I wanted to. God, I wanted to. Every time I saw you at family gatherings, every Christmas, every birthday, I wanted to pull you aside and say it. But I was scared. Patricia made it very clear. If I told you, I'd never see you again. And I couldn't bear that. Having you in my life as your aunt was better than not having you at all. She had no right to do that to you. To us. Elena reached for my hand. Her skin was cold, fragile. She was always like that, Patricia. She needed to control everything, own everything. When she found out she couldn't have more biological children after Marcus, she was devastated. Her perfect family plan was ruined. And then David died, and she saw an opportunity. She could have another daughter, complete her picture, and I'd be so grateful I'd never question her. Did she ever love me? Really love me? In her way, maybe. But Patricia's love always had conditions. You had to be what she wanted, act how she wanted, fit into her vision. You were a prop, honey, like everything else in her life. The money, I said suddenly. That's why she was so obsessed with my success. She wanted to show everyone what an amazing mother she was, raising this successful daughter. And when you had money, she wanted it, because in her mind, you owed her. She'd taken you in, raised you, given you opportunities. Your success was her success. Your money was her money. I felt something crack open inside me. All those years of trying to please her, trying to earn her love, trying to be good enough. And none of it mattered because I was never really hers. I was a borrowed child, a project, a reflection of her image. "I'm so sorry," Elena whispered. "I'm sorry I gave you to her. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was so young, so scared. I thought you'd have a better life with them." Did I? Did I have a better life? She smiled sadly. "You survived. You became strong and brilliant and successful despite them, not because of them. You're more like David than you know. He was a fighter too.
Worked hard, didn't take shortcuts, cared about doing things right. He would have been so proud of you. Tell me about him, about you two, about what my life should have been. She did. For the next 3 hours, Elena told me everything. About meeting David at a community college art class, both of them broke and ambitious, about their tiny apartment in Koreatown, about making meals out of nothing, about being happy despite having no money, about finding out they were pregnant and being terrified but excited, about David working overtime to save money, about Elena painting murals on their baby's nursery walls, about me being born, tiny and loud and perfect, about David crying when he held me, promising he'd give me the world, about the accident, the call from the hospital, the funeral, the darkness that swallowed her whole, about Patricia showing up in her designer clothes and expensive car, making everything sound so reasonable. You can't do this alone. Let us help. Let us give her everything she deserves. About signing papers she didn't fully understand, about watching me call Patricia Mama for the first time and wanting to die,
About building a life anyway, opening a small art studio in Monterey Park, teaching kids to paint, dating occasionally, but never seriously because her heart was still with David, watching me grow up from a distance, collecting every photo Patricia posted, celebrating every milestone privately. I have albums, she said, full of pictures of you. Every school photo, every article about Core Thread, every mention of you I could find. I've been documenting your life like a stalker because that's all I could do. Can I see them? She pointed to a bag in the corner. Robert brought them. I wanted you to have them. I wanted you to know that even if I couldn't be your mother publicly, I never stopped loving you. Not for one single day. The albums were worn, stuffed full. Photos, newspaper clippings, printed social media posts. My entire life, carefully preserved by a woman who loved me from the shadows. I cried looking through them. Ugly, heaving sobs that I'd been holding back for months. Elena cried too. I'm so sorry I wasn't stronger. I'm sorry I let her take you. I'm sorry for everything. Stop apologizing. You were a kid who got manipulated by someone with all the power. That's not your fault. Will you forgive me? There's nothing to forgive. You did what you thought was right, and you loved me. That's what matters. We talked until the nurses made me leave. I promised to come back the next day, and I did, and the day after that. For 5 days, I spent every possible minute with Elena, learning about my real family, my real history. She told me about David's parents, my grandparents, who were still alive, living in San Diego, about my Uncle Robert and Aunt Linda and my cousins, who were really my cousins, about a whole family I didn't know existed, who'd known about me but respected Elena's wishes to stay silent. They want to meet you, Elena said on day 4, if you want to meet them. I do. God, I do. They're good people, Elena. Not rich, not fancy, but real. They'll love you for who you are, not what you can give them. On day 6, I brought my lawyer. Christine drew up papers right there in the hospice room, officially documenting Elena's testimony about the adoption, about Patricia's manipulation, about everything. It was legally unnecessary. I was an adult. The adoption was decades old. But I wanted it on record. I wanted proof. Elena signed everything with shaking hands. Use this however you need to. If it helps you break free from her, it's worth it. She died 2 days later, peacefully, with me holding one hand and Robert holding the other. Her last words were, I love you, baby girl. I always did. I didn't cry at first. I was numb, empty. But later, back in my condo, I fell apart completely. I grieved for Elena, for the mother I'd never really known. I grieved for the childhood we should have had, for the relationship Patricia had stolen from us. I grieved for myself,
for the 31 years I'd spent thinking I was someone I wasn't. And then I got angry. Really, truly, burn it all down angry. Patricia had lied to me my entire life. She'd taken me for my real mother, erased my history, used me as a prop, and then exploited me financially when I became successful. She'd stolen everything: my identity, my family, my money, my peace. And she'd never even felt guilty about it. Well, screw that. Screw her. Screw all of them. I called Christine. I want to file a lawsuit against all of them. Patricia, Richard, Marcus. Everything we've got. And I want to go public with all of it. The adoption, the lies, the financial exploitation, everything. Are you sure? Once this is out there, there's no taking it back. I'm sure. I'm done protecting them. I'm done caring what people think. They wanted to destroy my reputation? Fine. Let's see how theirs holds up when the truth comes out. The lawsuit was brutal. We sued for fraud, financial exploitation, emotional distress, and about 10 other things Christine's team came up with. The filing included everything: bank records showing every transfer I'd made to them, Elena's testimony about the adoption and Patricia's manipulation, evidence of Marcus's fraudulent hedge fund activities, proof of Dad's gambling debts and shady loans, documentation of the smear campaign against me. I also gave an interview to an LA Times reporter who'd been covering wealthy family disputes. I told her everything, the whole ugly story, from the secret adoption to the Christmas dinner blowout to Elena's deathbed confession. I held nothing back. The article ran with the headline, "Tech Heiress Reveals Decades of Family Deception and Financial Exploitation." It went viral immediately. Within hours, it was everywhere, picked up by national news, trending on social media, dissected on morning talk shows. The public reaction was savage. People were outraged on my behalf. Patricia got absolutely demolished in the court of public opinion. Her country club friends distanced themselves overnight. The charities she'd been involved with quietly removed her from their boards. Her social media got flooded with angry comments calling her a fraud, a manipulator, a terrible person. Marcus tried to defend her, posted some nonsense about family privacy and biased journalism. It backfired spectacularly. People dug into his hedge fund, started asking questions about those offshore accounts. The SEC announced an investigation. His remaining clients started pulling their money. Dad went completely silent, just disappeared from public view. I found out later he'd checked into some rehab facility in Arizona, supposedly for exhaustion. Really, he was hiding. Jade was the only one who reached out. Called me crying, saying she didn't know about the adoption, that she was horrified, that she was done with Mom and Dad for good. I believed her. Mostly. We agreed to get coffee sometime. Maybe try to rebuild something real. The legal case took 8 months. Patricia fought it hard, hired the most expensive lawyers money could buy. Money she didn't have, so she had to sell the Pacific Palisades house to pay for them. Richard had to liquidate his wine collection, his cars, everything. Marcus had to sell the beach house. They were finally experiencing what it felt like to lose everything, to have your life dismantled piece by piece. In the end, we settled. They couldn't afford to take it to trial. The settlement terms were strict. They had to repay every dollar I'd given them, with interest. They had to sign NDAs preventing them from talking about me publicly. They had to stay at least 500 feet away from me at all times. And they had to release any and all claims to being my legal family. I donated the settlement money to organizations supporting low-income parents and adoption reform. All $3 million of it, plus the interest. I didn't want their money. I never did. I just wanted them to face consequences. But the real healing came from meeting my actual family. David's parents, Gloria and Henry Chen, welcomed me with open arms. They cried when they met me, said I looked exactly like David, that it was like having a piece of him back. I spent Thanksgiving with them in San Diego, met my cousins, heard stories about my dad and Elena's real love story. It wasn't fancy or luxurious, but it was real. They asked about my life, my interests, my dreams, not my bank account. They gave me old photos of David, showed me his art. He'd been a sculptor in his spare time. I'd inherited his creativity, his drive, his stubbornness. Tyler and I started seeing each other again, slowly, carefully. He'd been there through the worst of it, supporting me without asking for anything in return. We took it day by day, building something real this time, with no secrets and no toxic families poisoning everything. Derek and I launched our AI ethics company, EthicEye. It took off beyond our wildest expectations. Turns out there was huge demand for making sure technology was developed responsibly. We raised $50 million in funding, hired a team of brilliant people, started consulting with major tech companies. I was doing work that mattered, using my success to make things better, not just to make more money. I bought a house in Silver Lake. Nothing crazy, just a nice mid-century modern with good light and a view of the reservoir. Tyler moved in after a year. We adopted a rescue dog named Pixel. I painted David's sculptures, Gloria had given them to me, and set them around the house. I kept Elena's albums on the coffee table, looked through them whenever I missed her. One afternoon, almost 2 years after that horrible Christmas lunch, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Ada?" Patricia's voice, older, tired. "You're violating the restraining order." "I know, I'm sorry. I needed to say something, and then I'll never contact you again, I promise." I should have hung up, but curiosity won. "What?" "I'm sorry. For all of it. For taking you from Elena, for lying to you, for using you, for being a terrible mother. You deserved better. You always did." I waited for the catch, the manipulation, the ask for money. None came. "I lost everything," she continued. "My house, my friends, my reputation. Richard left me, moved to Florida. Marcus won't speak to me. Jade blocked my number. I'm living in a studio apartment in Van Nuys, working retail at Nordstrom. And you know what? I deserved it. Every bit of it. I made my choices, and now I'm living with the consequences." "Why are you telling me this?"
Because you were right about everything. I didn't love you the way a mother should. I loved what you represented. I loved showing you off, using you to make myself look good. And then when you actually succeeded, I wanted a piece of it. I wanted to take credit, take your money, take everything you'd earned. I was a parasite. Elena was your real mother, and I stole that from both of you. Yeah, you did. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I know what I did, and I'm sorry. That's all. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone, feeling nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no sadness, just nothing. She'd finally told the truth, finally admitted what she'd done, and it meant nothing to me. She'd lost her power over me completely. I deleted the call log and moved on with my day. 6 months later, I got a letter from Marcus, also against the restraining order, but whatever. It was short. "Ada, I'm writing from a federal prison in Texas. White-collar stuff. Securities fraud. 3 years. I've had a lot of time to think about who I was and what I did to you. You deserved a better brother. I'm sorry for being so terrible. I hope you're happy. That's all I ever should have wanted for you. M." I didn't respond, but I didn't throw the letter away either. Maybe someday I'd be ready to forgive him. Maybe not. Either way, it was my choice, on my terms. The moral of this whole mess? Family isn't just blood. It's not who gave birth to you or whose name is on your birth certificate. Family is who shows up, who loves you without conditions, who celebrates your success without trying to profit from it. Family is earned, not assumed. And boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. Cutting off toxic people, even if they're family, isn't selfish. It's survival. You don't owe anyone access to your life, your money, or your peace just because you share DNA.
I learned that Patricia, Richard, and Marcus were never my real family. They were my captors, my exploiters, my abusers. My real family was Alina, who loved me from the shadows and never stopped fighting for me in her own quiet way. My real family was the Chens, who welcomed me home after 30 years. My real family was Tyler, who stood by me when everything fell apart. My real family was Derek, Christine, and the people who saw me as a person, not a bank account. Money doesn't change you. It reveals everyone else's true nature. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let toxic people face the consequences of their actions without saving them. I'm 33 now. Happy. Actually happy, not fake happy. I have a career I love, a partner who respects me, a dog who thinks I'm the best thing ever, and a family that actually gives a damn about me. I have boundaries that I enforce without guilt. I have peace. And Patricia, Richard, and Marcus, they have exactly what they deserve: each other, their lies, and the life they built on manipulation and greed. They wanted to destroy me when I walked out that Christmas door, but instead, they destroyed themselves. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, loving fully, and letting toxic people drown in the wake of their own toxicity, while you sail away to calmer waters. I sailed away, and I'm never looking back. The end.